Well, a very good evening. Welcome to the Family Hour. My beautiful name is Claire Bwenje, your world's favorite host. How are you? How are you doing? How is the month taking you? I hope and I pray all is well. Well, remember this show is in partnership with Life Ministry Uganda and it comes to you Monday to Friday under different themes. Today we come to you under the theme of parenting. As usual, we have a very exciting topic, and guess what? It is supporting children's social and emotional development. And guess what? We have an amazing couple. They are so very ready. Are you ready for us? We are ready for you. Guess what? None other than Mr. Robert and his dear wife, Mrs. Rebecca Mubiru. You can only say the Mubirus. They are here to share their great ideas on this topic. Ladies and gentlemen, there. Why don't you join me? Welcome this great couple. And of course, we are excited to be here. You are most welcome, the Mubirus.
Thank you.
Happy
you
to
very
have
much.
you on the show.
Thank you.
Thank you too.
Please say
Appreciate
hello
that.
to the viewers and then we will start the show.
Good evening, viewers. My name is Rebecca Mubiru.
Good evening, viewers. My name is Robert Mubiru.
Wow. Happy to have you on the show, Rebecca Mubiru and Robert Mubiru. The RR. I don't know how God did it, but anyway, it's got to get there now. Yeah, so of course the viewer would want to know briefly about Rebecca. Who is Rebecca and then who is Robert?
All right. Rebecca is a mother of 4 daughters from a man called Robert, with whom we've been together for a good number of years,
Wow,
with
I
our
like
ups
that.
and downs, enjoyed ourselves, liked and hated each other in the same space.
Murder, not divorce.
I'm a Christian. I'm a Christian, and
I just like that.
we fellowship from Watoto. We are members of Watoto Church, and as uh, as training, I trained as a teacher first, and then I went into psychology, where I have been for a good number of years now. My interest is with young adults, and young adults is quite a span here. It ranges from 13 to I don't know what, maybe 60, 70, because some people grow in age, but they are still young in many other aspects.
I know.
Yeah, so yeah, that's where my heartbeat is. I do counseling with Watoto Church. I do counseling with ARC Africa Retreat Center. I do counseling with different high schools in the country. I do one-on-ones. We do premarital counseling together. Then we have mentored a few couples and we continue to mentor more. We have been parents to a good number of people, leave alone the biological ones, but there are many children whom the Lord has led us to parent, and we are grateful to God. I think that's good enough.
Wow. Happy to have you on the
Thank
show,
you.
Rebecca,
Thank you, thank
psychologist.
you.
You know, when we were growing up, we used to fear. They used to actually tell us that when a psychologist looks at you, they are seeing everything you're thinking about, you're doing.
Lord,
Is that
amazing.
correct?
Amazing.
Is that true?
You see-
Robert says it's actually true.
Well. It's a yes and no. It's like how you go to a medical personnel. They will not know that you have a fever until you tell them that you have a fever, and then they'll look at your lips and tell you because your lips are dry,
dry,
that
maybe.
means you're dehydrated, etc. Then they'll take your temperature. I mean, it's the same with psychology. It's just that the physical doctor looks at your physiological, and the psychologist looks at your psychological. Yeah, so we look at the body language. We try to see what is it exactly that you're saying. We look at your emotions. How do you do the things you do? It's not like we read your mind. We ask you a few questions that will lead us to help you do a self-discovery, basically, because whatever it is that you're going through, whatever it is that I am going through, I know the best solution, but I just need guidance to where I should go. So psychologists don't read minds. We are not mind readers, not at all. But through what you say, we get to know. And I mean, it's common with many parents, I must say. That's why you keep saying, does my mother have eyes everywhere? No, they don't. But through the experience that they have gone through, they can tell that when Rebecca is quiet, this is what she might be doing. And lo and behold, it is what you're doing. Then you're like,
Exactly.
how did she know? How did she know? So psychologists are not mind readers.
Wow, wow, I got a free lesson here. Thank you very much, Rebecca. And briefly,
Sorry,
Robert, would you
sorry.
tell us about yourself? So briefly, and we hit the show.
I'm Robert Mubiru, married to one wife, was a woman when I married her, and still is,
Continues to be.
continues to be a woman, father of four, like she said. Really, she has covered everything in the family and everything. So I'll just talk about my profession. I'm an engineer by training. Yeah, and so that's my passion. And the things that she's talked about is what we do together. With respect to what's relevant for this show, we do premarital counseling and sometimes one-on-one. She's more into that. I like sports, so she also likes sports. Actually, it was a sport that united us.
Oh, what sport was that?
Basketball.
I'm going to invite you for the How We Met show, and then you share your story right here.
Yes.
But now back to the family hour. And our topic, like you already know, is supporting children's social and emotional development. So, how do you define social and emotional development in children? I don't know which side I'm beginning with at this rate.
I mean, social development is not only in children, but it's in all of us. Though as a child, you're still finding self. But even where you and I are, we're still finding self in many
Exactly.
different
That's
areas.
quite true.
And as human beings, God created us as social beings. Yeah. So how do we define our social being? Well, now in the context of children, children they have a blank slate that you and I keep writing on.
Yeah.
So those life experiences that the children go through, the reactions that they see of the adults, the significant adults that they interact with often, that is the social that they're seeing, and that is what they know best how to go. And that is what they're going to replicate everywhere they are going to go because they don't know any better. So, whatever it is that you're writing, you're developing them on how to act, on how to react, how to act and how
Learn how
to
to
react
react.
on
Yeah.
the different circumstances that they may go in. So that is the social development part of it. What example can I give you? I'll give the example through now the emotional development. Now, when we talk about emotional development, there are those particular things there are those particular emotions that develop in the first year of a child. Things like joy, emotions like interest. What is the child's interest? What is it that makes this child happy? You see, what makes you happy doesn't make me happy.
Exactly.
So don't think that what makes the firstborn happy will make the secondborn happy. They're
That's quite
different
true.
people.
Yes.
And the circumstances keep changing. What we were going through when we had our first child is not necessarily what we were going through with the second and the third and da. So we cannot say that you have to do it like the other one. So if we're going to develop child number two emotionally, her joys or his joys, their interests have to be different. And then what are the things that they fear? All these come in the first year. What are the things that they fear? What are the things that make them sad? What are the things that surprise them? Yeah, those are the things that you're going to look out for in these children. Then as the second year comes towards an end, more complex emotions come in. Things like embarrassment. What are
Because
the
that's
things that
that's
embarrass
when
them?
they're now physically exploring wider, totally new. So yeah, that's when.
What are the things that make them shameful? What are they afraid of? Eh? there they were talking about fear, surprise, what some of the things are surprising to them in the first year, but now they become shameful. Yeah, things like envy, those develop towards the end of the second year. Things like being compassionate. I mean, it's very interesting. Our firstborn is very compassionate, and so is the thirdborn. Now, the secondborn is that her language
Covert.
The
does not
compassion is not
the,
expressed.
the compassion is not expressed physically. Yeah, for example, when they were much younger, and you'd come home and they would come out and say, oh, hello, welcome back, and you hug. Yeah, after some time, if you could say, can I give you a hug? Then she'll go like, but I gave you a hug the moment you walked in. So it
Yeah,
is
how many times
different.
should they hug
Talk so
you?
slow.
Exactly. But yet for the other one, they'll also come chasing
Even
after
during
you,
what? Give me a
saying,
hug.
please hug
Hug me,
me.
hug
Yeah.
me. Oh,
So that is very different. And those are the emotional developments. After the first ones, after the sadness, fear, anger, surprise in the first year, towards the second year, this is when these ones now start developing after the child is more aware of their surrounding, more aware of what will be punishable, and more aware of what is acceptable and what is not acceptable. What makes them, I mean, things like lying because they are guilty, all come into development towards the end of the second year. So that is how I'll define
Emotion.
social development,
and then
which is I
Emotion.
started with, then emotional development. Those are the definitions that I would
wow.
use.
I really appreciate you, Rebecca, and I love where you mentioned that children are like a blank paper. What you write is what you will see in them. But I'm also thinking some parents really might not know the right things to write on the blank paper. They don't know how maybe to nurture the children, how to train them. Really, I don't know what's your advice in this, because you give what you have really. Some might not be born again. Yeah. Some might really do, like they raise the children the way they are raised. I don't know what's your take on that. What should we as parents do to write the right things on that blank paper?
Maybe it needs to be qualified a bit. It's a blank slate, but it's a shaded blank slate. So a very good example is that example she gave about the different emotional, the different characteristics of how they express emotions. They're the same children. They're our children, but one grew up expressing emotion one way and another.
And another, yes.
You understand? So say there's what they call nurture and what? There's that how much of growth is how much of somebody's a final evolved character is nurturing and environment and your actual innate, what they refer to as DNA, say. So you've had, like they say in our vernacular, man, I think that tata, yeah, that
Exactly.
type of thing, and so somebody has a characteristic bent, eh? And that's why I said it's a shaded blank slate. So yeah. Now on that blank slate, I think we just need to be aware, like Rebecca said, that these are new individuals and they're unique individuals. So the problem is many of us carry into family and into our lives baggage, and sometimes we want to offload that baggage on our children. Yeah, so I'll stop there.
Um, Claire, you don't need to be born again to have acceptable behavior in society. So whether born again or not born again, we all know what is acceptable behavior. Whether born again or not born again, we are human beings, and we get upset, we get excited. So how you deal with the circumstances is what we're talking about here. What happens when there's a misunderstanding between Robert and I? Yeah. Now, given my background, where I came from a very polygamous family, and Robert came from prim and proper, sorted. Now,
Covered.
yeah, one husband, one wife, 4 children, sorted. Where I came from, it is different. I got siblings who are my mother's children and not my father's, and I have those who are my father's and not my mother's, right? Now, how misunderstandings were held in that family differ.
Exactly.
Yeah. So now I need to choose. When I'm starting family, what are those things that I'm going to pick from there and bring on board, and what are those things that I'm not going to bring on board?
Exactly.
Whether my parents were Christians or not Christians, born again or not born again, it does not matter. There are certain values in life. Do we quarrel when they're saying, does he beat me? Do I beat him? So when I'm angry, as this child is developing socially, we talked about anger. When I'm angry, what does this child see happening? That is the blank slate I'm talking about. If when I'm angry, I raise my voice, when this child is angry, they're going to raise
They-
their
they- they are
voice.
going to
that's
do
what
the
they'll
That
same.
is
know to
what
do.
that's what they'll
That's
know how to do.
Exactly.
Yeah. When I want something, what do I do? Do I do I try to trick him and get
Do you
everything I
manipulate?
can? Do I
Yeah.
manipulate him?
And so
So
when they grow up in a
when
manipulative environment, that's what they
That's what
So
they'll do.
when you go into a market or a shop and this child wants this toy, and you came to buy certain things, and now this child wants the toy, and because you have said no, they are throwing a tantrum, and when they throw a tantrum, you say, okay, 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 let me buy. So you're telling this child
That a
that
tantrum
a
works.
tantrum works. It gives you your desired results.
As simple as
Yeah.
that.
So that is the training parents need to have.
But then on top of that, because I want to bring up, there was a nuance to your question where you were saying, how do we as parents know what to do? And I want to turn that on its head and say that you know what to do.
Exactly.
Our problem is that we're not intentional to do what we know has to be done. And especially in this day and age, many parents don't want to do the hard work of parenting. Yes. So what am I trying to say? For example, like Rebecca said, she grew up in whatever environment she grew up in. She saw the pros and the cons. And then you have a decision to make. Am I going to onboard everything that I saw from home? Yes. But if you decide to go ahead, obviously the Bible is very clear in Galatians 6:7. God will not be mocked. Whatever you sow, that is what you reap.
Exactly.
Yes, so you can't sow oranges and think and wish,
And
oh, please give me bananas.
guavas.
No, this is the thing. So in the
Graft
case,
the guava.
in the case of the tantrum
See, the
throwing child,
scientist did know.
in case of the tantrum throwing child, if the child throws a tantrum, you need to be man or woman enough to say, okay, if you're throwing a tantrum, we're going home. And they realize that whenever you go to a supermarket and you throw a tantrum, even the opportunity to get out of the house and what stops, or something like that, and something that I've written. So, but we'll talk about it later. So I was just adding to what you were saying that that you have a very 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 honorable and very very serious role as a parent in modeling your child, especially in the early years. Very much. So,
Especially in the
yeah,
early
especially
years.
in the early years, because that is when they are forming the real foundation of their character.
I like that.
On what to do, on the question of what do we do as parents, you've been given an opportunity to parent. You and I, as parents, we've been given an opportunity to bring up the next generation. So, what is it that you want to see in the next generation? What is it that you want to see? It's surprising that lately we keep thinking that the hard work that we did at home was kind of punishment. So now we don't want to be punished, and we don't want to punish our children. But if we did not grow up that way, if we didn't do the chores like we did, we won't be where we are today, I want to believe. Those things molded us into who we are today. But today you find a homestead where a child cannot even lay their bed, and it's okay. Yeah. And then the blame is put on the household why they did not lay
The bed.
a bed of a 12-year-old, for example. Why the child's plates are in the bedroom. Yeah. So what are you telling this child? That it doesn't, you don't have to eat at the dining place. There's no demarcation in life, basically. No wonder we're going to end up with children who have no limit to ill-manneredness. Yeah. So they don't know that if there's a dining table, let's sit and eat at the table. Yeah, you're telling them it's okay to eat from the TV room, it's okay to eat from your bedroom. That's amuleka ekyo kyayagala, nze nabonaabona nnyo nga nkula, omwana wange saagala aboneebone.
Wow.
But what are you telling this child? That it's okay to do whatever you're doing the way you're doing it, and tomorrow life will take its own course. Yeah.
Actually,
So we have work to do. Let's not pretend. As parents, we have work to do. You know, when we were growing up, and even a person who stays 3, 4 houses away would have the right to spank you or to discipline you.
you'd have to hide in a bush when you
Today,
see
it's
your
not
neighbor
happening.
coming. Is it your auntie? Yeah.
You hide.
Today, it's
And then
not
they
happening.
report that they saw you hiding.
And now we are
Well,
saying
today's no more.
that the kids of these days, these Gen Zs, this generation,
The Gen Z.
but it's the parent of this day. That's your output. Garbage in, garbage out. Let's not
Exactly.
pretend. That's
And-
what we are putting in.
And Hebrews says that what? No discipline seems pleasant at the time, but painful. Later on, however, it produces a harvest of righteousness and peace for those who have been trained by it. The harvest of righteousness and peace is not for you who's exerting the discipline. It's for the person who has been disciplined. And why is that so? If you start from 7, it says that endure hardship as discipline. God is treating us as children. And he says, moreover, if you're not disciplined, it says everyone undergoes discipline, then you're not legitimate. And that is true. Your concern for your child should be more than other people's concern for your children. And because you're concerned for the well-being and proper grooming of your child, that will motivate you to discipline. And unfortunately, discipline has been given a very negative rap.
Yeah.
Discipline is just a guiding your child away from falling, as the Bible puts it, into righteousness, into paths of righteousness. So we know many the other time we were dealing with couples, and they're saying, "Oh, my boys, I don't know what to do. I tell them do this," and these are toddlers. I tell them do this, and they don't do it. I said, you should be a bit harder on them. If that's the case, and they're throwing their tantrums, you put him in a corner and let him jump until he's tired. And when they are finally tired, you say, "Okay, what did I tell you to do?" And then they realize that bad behavior does not produce any profit.
Exactly.
So rewards should be given for positive behavior, and bad behavior should not merit any rewards. And quickly over time, they will instinctively know that even what I'm doing is wrong because you've modeled it right. But it doesn't stop there. You as a person should live a disciplined life, which
Exactly.
comes from disciplining. Both have the same root word, discipline. When you live a disciplined life, they see the core character that leads to righteousness. That's why it produces a harvest of peace and righteousness for the person who's disciplined. And so everyone in this generation is saying, "Oh, woe betide our other generation. We just haven't done the hard work." We run into families and they turn around and say, "Oh, those children are very well mannered." They were nurtured into the right path. So basically, and then there's so many other sub themes. How much time are you spending with your children? How much concern how far do you delve into the life of your children? I work very, very hard. There are many times I don't get time to be with my children, and she's always reminding me, get time, talk to your girls, go through her report card because it's important, and I know it's important. You see, but sometimes we do delegated parenting. You get pa- contract parents to parent on your behalf. I mean, we should call a spade a spade. And so the end result, in some cases, the people you contract turn out to be very mature people who. But do you know what's funny? Then you're not building relationship with them. The child will have a relationship with the contract parent, and not you. And yours will be a transactional relationship. You grow up and you can't.
How sad.
Oh, yeah, it's true. So yeah, we can talk about this ad infinitum, as people say, but but you understand where we're going. Yes,
Exactly.
yes.
Well, thank you very much, the Mubiru, and I like it. You well said. As parents, we know what to do, but we tend to pretend like we do not know. So, dear parents, this show will return in a bit. We are still with the Mubiru. Please don't go anywhere. We are returning. Welcome back from that short break. I hope you enjoyed whatever you had in our break. We are still with the movie rules, and still our topic is supporting children's social and emotional development. This is still the Family Hour with me, your world's favorite host, Claire Wenje, and I believe you are enjoying the show. So, before we went for a break, they were actually sharing with us that as parents, we actually know what we are supposed to do, but we don't do what we are supposed to do. But I know the Lord will help us to do what we are supposed to do as parents. Well, thank you very much for keeping in touch of Uganda Family TV, and I still bring the Mubiru's on board. So back to you, the Mubiru's. You're doing great. We are learning a lot.
So are
I
we.
need to invite you. Yes, so are you.
So are we. Yes, we also
Learning doesn't stop.
Exactly, actually, that's so true. Learning never stops.
Yeah.
And I'm glad you're learning something as well. I am really, really learning a lot. I'm absorbing like a sponge. I will invite you again.
Yeah.
So, anyways, could you please give an example of a specific strategy or approach you have used to support children's social and emotional development?
I think for me, when it comes to social development, like I was saying earlier during the break, like Rebecca shared, the issue is in those things that we know we have to do. We need to be, we need to purpose to do them. But then in doing them, we need to be clear. One of the things that I learned from my father, which I think he had learned from somewhere, and he kept emphasizing, I recall to my mother, both have passed away, was that when you're disciplining a child, you need to take time for them to understand why you're disciplining them, so that they can link the behavior with the corrective action, so as to dissuade. But also, when you're affirming a child, and we need to affirm our children, we maybe don't do it that often. We need to try and be specific with your affirmation, so that a child can grow up with a wholesome sense of esteem, their own. Another thing is that we need to be consistent. When a child does something, and especially when they're young, they tend to be repetitive and can be a bit annoying. But maybe I prefer that repetitive, minor annoyance rather than the sophisticated, nuanced, uh, uh, indiscipline of young adults. Yeah, so you need to be consistent in whatever behavior you decide, whatever behavior you are addressing, whether it's an affirmation, whether, and obviously that takes time. Then you also must remember that children are looking at you all the time. I mean, in their world, and this is what I share when I have the opportunity with young couples, is I try to take them 2 generations back. I remind the intending bride and groom that they came from families, and for you coming from that family, your paradigm is that of a child, and you don't see your parents in any other light, but you forget that they also came from families, and their paradigm in their families, their paradigm was that of a child, and they so So in that way, I try to expose to that couple that you're human beings starting another family, and you're going to create that culture of the family. So,
Exactly.
so, and what you do as a couple in that home is what the children will learn from. Yeah, and one of the strategies is we try to ensure between me and Rebecca that we always knew what everyone was up to, and we tried to the best of our ability to agree on anything, deciding what the children want together. So if so they tried hard, and children will do it. They're masters at it. They'll divide decision making between the parents. And so they know whom to approach for this and whom to approach for that. And if you're not careful as a couple, you can let it slip, and then before you realize it, they're dancing circles around. But mommy said this. No, daddy allowed. Why are you doing this? Oh, daddy allowed us, and so on and so forth.
That's true.
And so we quickly decided that in all our decisions, there's nothing they can. Actually, they started complaining. What did they used to say? They say,
But you people.
but you people, because they tried hard until they got frustrated. They could. We would be of one mind.
Yeah, they'll come and tell you something, and you're like, okay, what did daddy say? And then when they
Yes.
go to daddy, daddy says, what did
What
mommy
did
say? And they're
mommy
like,
say?
Yes.
but he's also asked me what you said.
Yeah.
So you're like, so what
so
did he
so
say?
so that they don't manipulate, and by that one never ends. Even those our children, they still do it. Yeah.
Wow.
Oh yes, never ends. Parenting doesn't end. Even when they get married, it doesn't end. No. It's true. Just that change. That's all. Yeah. Maybe I'll stop it.
Thank you, Robert. You and I, Claire, believe or must come to believe that the greatest gift that you and I can give to anyone is time. Time. We're here, we've made the time. And as we're here, we've sacrificed something else.
Exactly.
Yeah. So if you're going to develop your child socially, if you're going to develop your child emotionally, you're going to purpose to make the time at every level of development. And that is the only way you're going to know the inner part of your child. You're going to have to be there. Don't let the contract parents, don't let the teachers, don't let the house helps, don't let the whoever else, the guards, because us when we were growing up, it was the neighbors, because a child was brought up by a whole village. But today, it's the scary who will tell you your child went out at this time. That's if they tell you. They'll be the ones who will help sneak in stuff because they know you get out at a certain time and you come back at a certain time and you're too tired, you're studying, you're working 3 jobs and you're doing your master's and your PhD and
Plus the side hustle.
plus your side hustle. So
Chikubo.
wherever. So you need to make the time. It has to be purposed. You need to make the time. That's the only way you're going to be a part of that development.
And like just to add on to that, something that just has come to me. You set aside time for what you value.
Yeah.
So now I want to ask a question to these parents. Do you really value your children? When, in fact, the other way around, I like to make a statement, a dangerous statement that
I like the way he calls the spade the spade.
yes, the statement is when you do not spend time with your child, you're saying that your child is not as valuable as whatever else you're spending time with. I'll repeat that. When you don't spend, I'm speaking to myself, when you don't spend time with your child, you're saying that whatever else you're doing is more valuable than your child. Period.
Thank you, Robert.
We still have that piece here.
Yes, we do. We still have the pace. And parenting is partnership. Let's agree to that. So there are times when your partner, your spouse, is too busy. Your co-parent, as in the responsible too, because there's not a single child who is not a responsibility of 2 individuals. So there are times when the other person cannot be available. You who is available, do the part that you can do. And I'm not trying to let anyone off the hook here. You need to make that intentional time, like Robert had said. But there's things like you'll find, like, maybe let's take school. You'll find that at school it's mainly the ladies who are there, understandably so. We also want to get our careers and what have you. However, how can you get your spouse inclusive is what matters. When we go to these schools and we go for teacher parent conferences and all these things, how do you manage those? Because what has helped us is when I get to such conferences and I'm registering, I don't only register Rebecca Mubiru, I write Robert and Rebecca Mubiru. When they ask for the phone numbers, I put his number and my number. When they ask for email addresses, I put his email address and my email address. So the school is not going to say, no, we're only going to send messages to Rebecca because she was the one present. No. For them, they get the mailing list and they send. So whatever communication is coming from this school, which we have entrusted with our children, he ends up getting. So he's still in the know. He may not be present, but he's in the know.
He's in the know.
But bottom line is, make the time. Make the time. We all have 24 hours, and you're not going to harvest where you have not sown. If you don't have time for your children today, you're busy chasing the hustles, giving them a good life. Tomorrow you'll become weaker. We don't become any stronger, we become weaker. So the same way you're sending drivers to take your children to school is the same way they'll send drivers to come and pick you and take you to hospital. And we are heading towards those old homes. So very soon there'll be many old homes in this country. So the kids will get you and dump you there because
that's what you taught them.
That's what you taught them. You got for them caretakers. So now they'll get the caretaker.
When you have a problem,
they have the good jobs, they have the money.
Mommy, help me pick daddy.
Yes, because that's what they saw you do.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's what they experienced. And they didn't build a nurturing relationship, so they're not missing anything. They don't know what they're missing.
So make the time. Make the time. Take them out. What does it take to take them out? You have the resources, but you're telling cousin so and so, I've seen many people's children being picked by the driver and the nanny. Then the nanny is the one who will take them to whichever place to buy them what they want to buy. Where are you in the equation? Where are you? Where am I in the equation?
An example that she was giving, because of my work, I drop the children in the morning.
In the morning, yes.
Drop the children in the morning. But even when I'm dropping them, I try to engage them, or at least when they were younger. I try to engage them. We walk through the Lord's Prayer and we go verse by verse in Uganda and tell them, do you understand? That type of thing. I start conjuring up stories up to the point that they felt they used to say when they were younger that I have a story machine in my head. Then when I come back in the evening, before they go to bed, I'd read them a story or something. You're trying your best within the whole, but they see the effort, because children actually see beyond what you think they can see. They can see daddy's tired. They say, oh no, you're tired. I say, no, I have to read your story. Yeah, no, I have to read your story. So they understand that you're actually making effort, even when there's what? Yeah.
So make the time. And then another practical way is know your child. What are your child's likes and dislikes? What are their hobbies? What makes them tick? What excites them? What triggers them? What are the things that annoy them? What are the things that they like? Who are their friends? Who are these friends' parents? Where do these people stay? What do they do? Get to know them. What are the values? What is the value system of that family? What are the value system of that child that is spending time with my child? Get to know these friends and know them off head. When they talk about Claire, have a clue. Don't say, Claire, yani now, because of the stress that you're going through and everything. No. Know about Claire. If they say they love football, get to know about that football. If they love dolls, I don't know how many imaginary teas Robert drank when they were young. They have these imaginary friends, then you have bought things. You take that tea. Did you like that
Uncle's
tea?
here. He's here. Yes, he's here. So, okay.
So now when they grow and you have your agenda,
Wow, that's so interesting.
you have already set the foundation of conversation between you and them. And if you're speaking their language, if you're speaking about tailoring, if you're speaking about drama, if you're speaking about music, if you're speaking about their interest, and they see that you're interested in it, it will be very easy for you to bring your agenda on board because you have also shown interest in what they like. So when you bring your agenda of passing chemistry, it will make sense because you also know that Arsenal is winning or losing.
So for
Yeah.
example,
So
that lays the foundation for adult friendship.
yes.
Yes, adult friendship. So and
Wow,
it's a
that makes a lot
very
of sense.
yeah.
Yes. You just build it up. It doesn't happen suddenly.
It doesn't
Yeah.
happen.
Then
Yes,
have
just like
open
that.
communication. Be open to your children. Let them know what is going on. And I think the Asian
There's no
culture
man going,
has done that very well. They are very open with their children. They know the child knows the businesses. Most people, your children don't know what you're doing. They have no
You
clue
know,
where
mommy
the
has
money
gone
is
to
coming from.
work.
Yeah, they don't know where you work. They don't know what you do. They are not certain. They see things
And
coming
even when
in.
you give them money, they overspend because they don't know. They don't
Sometimes
know
you don't
what
even
is.
check if they have spent or what they have spent. You're not following up at all. But be open. Be open. What are your values also? What are your likes? What are your dislikes? Our children know we love basketball. They know that. They know Robert loves the guitar. They know he loves music a lot and what have you. And as a result, some of them have ended up loving music. Be open. Why are you hiding passwords, husband and wife? You're
By the
fighting
way,
over your
in our
passwords.
home,
Have an open
there's nothing.
communication.
There's nothing. But now, my wife refused. Want it on here?
I'm just
To learn my phone opening debit, eh? And but my children know it. So our children, we've taught them courtesy in terms of uh, personal property, but there's nothing that I hide on my phone. So my child will come and say, "May I use your phone? I want to hotspot myself, or whatever." So that's what's it about, and what's it about? I think just conversational niceties because I know she's going to take it anyway. So I give it to her without a worry. And they know her passwords. She knows my password. I know her password. Sometimes my gund is using my phone, so I'm like, Rebecca, where's your phone? I pick it. You still have airtime. And that is how we've developed. That's what you've taught. That there's nothing to hide.
There should be
Yeah.
openness
So
in every way.
so
that
this is another one of those dangerous statements.
I know.
If your whoever does not know
Password.
your password or access or does not access your phone freely, are you
for
really
your
free in that
emails.
home? And
How-
what are you demonstrating to your children? The sign you're sending to your children that you can be in a home, but
Have your sente ya chikazi.
and it will, that's the seed that Satan wants to sow to
Divide
disrupt, divide, kill, steal, kill, and destroy. So you must teach them that there's safety in transparency and
That
safety in
teaches
honesty.
transparency.
Yes.
And because of that, there are certain videos that you're not going to hold onto your phone because you're like, if my child found this, what do they? I mean, we're on different groups and stuff keeps flowing in. There are sites that you won't go to, and there are sites that our children are afraid of going to because they don't
They
know
know.
when we're going to ask. Yeah. I'm not good at passwords, so I keep asking Robert, what's my password for this thing? Sarah, what's my password for this one? Then they're like, because how do I open this one? There's
And they set
nothing
up.
to hide. And you see the Holy Spirit, which many of us call something told me, but that's the Holy Spirit. The Holy Spirit keeps convicting us. The fact that I am hiding something from Robert, then I know that it is wrong.
That it is wrong, exactly.
Yeah. And I keep telling, our children and other children that we have managed to come in touch with that the fact that you know that this is unacceptable, that's why you're hiding it. If it's acceptable, it's in the open. You know our value system, you know the value system of your home. So when you get another child into play and that child is afraid of meeting me, or you're afraid of we
Introducing
meeting that
them,
child,
then you know that
there's
something with that
there's
child
something that is not
we'd
acceptable
not
this
be
side.
comfortable with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But how will that be known unless we are transparent?
Yeah.
So be transparent. Put it
and
there
and
live
we
by
welcome
example.
their friends. Their friends know when they come, they've come home.
Even right now,
Yeah.
there are those who are at home playing
Yeah.
Monopoly. May we
Hey.
Yeah.
call our friends and they
And they
play
come and
Monopoly?
play with us,
Like,
and okay,
okay,
yeah, we'll come,
what are you
yeah.
going to eat? X, Y, Z. So
And you're the ones who look after them and want things
we
clean
want a clean
afterwards. We
kitchen.
don't
That
want
is
to,
all.
yeah, yeah. But just feel free, and their friends
Wow.
know us and
Yeah.
all of that, and
So
etc.
we
etc.
keep allowing them to bring them so that, many a times we are around just to see how they're interacting.
But also the rules at home do not change because their friends around. When they were young, during term time, weekdays not even, and weekends the TV would start at 3 p.m. Now we know that that's not necessarily the same in every home.
Every home has
Handles
its
things
own.
differently. So their friends would come over, or cousins, whatever, and they'd rush straight to the family room, and the children would be the one policing them, saying, "No, here we watch TV after 3." Yes, because they know, and we'd like them to do it. And when you see something, what are these ones watching? You call the child and say, "Did you tell your friends what's going on?" Yeah.
In the presence of the
Yes, so
other
that
one,
they
so
learn
that
that
they know.
they're the ones who preserve. It's their responsibility to preserve the ethos at home.
So yeah,
Yeah.
make your child your friend from a very early stage. Let you be the speed dial of your child, and let your child be your speed dial in the areas where your child is conversant with, and that will help nurture your relationship with your child, and it keeps changing. You keep giving relevant information, of course, age specific and experience specific. That way you will be able that child will have a developed social and emotional life.
Wow. Wow.
I
Thank you.
just want to add just something small, unless we are going off.
No, it's okay.
Just something small, and this is something that I've seen becoming important as of late. We have and because of all these things that we've talked about, maybe people are not spending enough time, maybe people are not being consistent at home, maybe people are not being transparent. That the father-daughter relationship is very critical to the wholesome emotional well-being of girls. The mother-son relationship is very important in the same way, especially when it comes to relationships with opposite sexes. And your children see how you treat your mother, their
Their
mother,
mother.
eh? And your children see how their mother treats their father, and it forms their worldview regarding what a home should be like.
And
Eh?
what relationships should be.
And if it's a negative experience, they'll shy away from. Now, what they do is they blame the relationship, but then because they're designed to yearn for relationship, they enter with twisted. So you have many girls began becoming sexually active because they're looking for unfulfilled affirmation from the
The
father.
father.
You find men becoming abusive of children and what, because that's what they saw. So the role that you're talking about here is a very serious one. We can't go
Yes.
into details because of time, but you understand. Yeah.
Wow. Well, thank you very much, Rebecca and Robert. I really appreciate you. And like you well said, create time for your children. I love when you really emphasize that we all have 24 hours in a day. No one has more than that, or no one has less.
Less.
So, really, we have to create time for the things that we value, and that is our family. So, thank you very much. And as we really summarize, just briefly, share with us the role. What role do you believe social and emotional development plays in a child's overall well being? As we summarize, wrap up, and close the show.
You want to say something? Like we started saying when you asked about psychologists reading minds, we all have the emotional part of our life, and it's very critical. And if the emotions are not dealt with, the Bible says that out of the fullness of the heart, the mouth speaks.
Exactly.
So if you haven't dealt with your emotions and how to handle them, especially,
Yeah.
you need to learn to be in control of your emotions, not your emotions to be in control of you. Because what happens, an emotion is very unstable. It doesn't happen all the time. Yeah. So you have the emotion of sadness and you're busy shouting at people because someone has made you sad and what have you, then that goes away. But the picture you have left with us is, that person is not one that you can deal with when they're unhappy. So that's what we know about you. So even when you come in a happy mode, we are like, first wait. Yeah. So we need to be in control of our emotions so that we can understand that situations keep changing every now and then. Life keeps changing and evolving. And then we need to learn how to keep evolving, but with the limit of goodness in behavior. And if you do not deal with your wellness inside, then definitely on the outside, it will be, you'll be trying to fight something, yet it's not the outside that needs to be dealt with, it's the inside, the
Yes.
you, inside you, the battles that are going on within you. We all have battles, but we need to get up to a place where we can manage that inner being. That is what brings out the wellness, and then our behavior in the outside will be pleasant to the people that we're going to work with. And by pleasant, I don't mean, be a doorstep and be abused and what have you. Be firm in the things that you're doing, but in a pleasant manner, so that you can attract goodness, because what you give is what you get back many
Exactly.
a times. But we need to attract goodness. We need to have those little soft skills in life, other than the psychology we have learned, the mass comm we have done, the engineering we've done. Those little nothings, the how are yous, the thank yous, the how do you feel today, or how can I help you, that is what we need to develop. And that starts at home. It doesn't start in the office, it doesn't start in adulthood, it starts in the infant. Yeah.
Wow, thank you very much. Our time is really fast spent. Please give us your parting shots and we close the show.
Yeah, thank you very much. The very good example, what she just said, is a tantrum. By having them sit on a chair and go through a tantrum without getting a positive result, they're quick that they're learning how to manage their emotions. The next time, they'll know that I need to control my tantrum, and they'll have learned. But otherwise, thank you very much for for having us here and giving us the opportunity to share really our life's journey. There was no like script somewhere. It's something that went through and learned by the grace of God and a lot of training and mentoring. And it was really a pleasure having us, and we are honored to have shared. Yeah.
Wow, happy to have you. Parting shots, Rebecca, and we close the show.
What are my parting shots? It's an honor to always share, and it's an honor to also learn. And it doesn't matter where we go in this world, we are either adding value or taking away value from someone. But especially for the next generation, what is it that you're doing for them? How are you modeling yourself? How do you dress? How do you carry yourself? How do you talk to people? How do you value people? Because that's all we have. All we have in this world is people. And how we treat people is really important, irrespective of our training. How I treat you will come before what my training is. How do I use the time that I've been given? How accountable am I for the opportunities that come my way? Because I may not get this opportunity again. So it's an individual thing that you intentionally work upon. So if you're going to have a good social network, you're going to work at it. You're going to invest in it. If you want to receive calls, you're going to call people. If you want your children to be your friend, you're going to be your children's friend. If you want your workmates to be your friend, you're going to be your workmates' friends. You're going to do those things beyond even what the limits are saying. Then you'll have a good social life. Then you'll have a good emotional life, knowing that I'm in charge of these emotions and they're not permanent. Yeah. If I woke up sad, probably coming here and I see Claire's smile lifts me up. And then now I go back a happy person. But if I subdue that with the morning of, me, I am a sad person today, then
I
the
know.
people around me are going to give me my space, because no one likes negativity.
No one likes really Wow. Thank you so much. Happy to have you on the show, The Movie
Thank you
Reviews. It's
too.
been a great pleasure. We have learned and learned a lot. We need
Thanks be
more
to
of you
God.
in this world.
Amen.
Dear viewer, thank you very much for loving Church of Uganda Family TV, and thank you for loving the Family Hour. We were with the Mubiru and they did us really well. I'll see you again next Friday. From me and the Mubiru, it is a good night. See you again. Cheers.